Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the West Coast Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Richard Frias Guzman. And on today's episode, it is episode 143. Recording this on an early Wednesday morning, just after the game from last night. Of course, with the Lakers going up against the Nuggets, game number one of the Western Conference Finals. And I gotta say, it was an interesting game. If you guys watched the entire game, you guys definitely know that Nuggets went off in the first quarter. As a matter of fact, not even the first half, the first quarter. Really, Jokic had one hell of a quarter, made sure to establish, the tone of the game from the very beginning. Just kind of, that lead that they ended up building from that point, and also even in the third quarter, really outlasted the push from the Lakers. I'm trying to go in and chop down that lead and trying to get to the lead at some point. Well, as a matter of fact, they did for a little bit of time, but it was short-lived after that. So we'll talk all about the game overall, just kind of the ins and outs of the game. We'll talk all about, who ended up stepping up, what maybe the Lakers can do a little bit different for game number 2 being tomorrow on Thursday. So we'll talk all about that game, and we'll talk a little bit about the post game and a little bit about the preview of the next game. So with that being said, I am just going to go ahead and just jump right into it. I am just going to take a quick minute to remind everybody that you can take if you can, please take your time to go ahead and follow me on Instagram, on Twitter. Make sure you guys like and review anywhere where you're listening to the podcast. It'll I'll definitely appreciate it, and it'll definitely help me out as far as increasing and growing the podcast. And if you have any friends or family members, definitely let them know about the podcast, and I'll greatly appreciate that as well. Just to let you guys know, you guys again can follow me on Instagram. It's and Twitter, West Coast Pod 702, and then Facebook, it's West Coast Sports Podcast. You can follow me there as well. If you have any questions, or if you guys just would like to talk, send me a message, send me a DM. You know what to do. I love to want to talk about sports, about any of the teams, about anything that's going on. Well, I'll be happy to do so. So with that being said, guys, let's go right into the podcast. So of course, game ended up, a little lackluster at the end. I really do think that the Lakers were able to make a good push, but it was, in my opinion, it was too little too late at the end. I could definitely see how the Lakers were trying their hardest to go ahead and gain the lead and actually win that game at the end. And I think it would have been so demoralizing for the Nuggets and for their fans, because in my opinion, last night was probably one of the better games that they could probably have. Maybe not saying that they can't repeat it, but I think that's probably the best that they have. I'll wait to see whether if that's the case, because in my opinion, honestly, offensively and defensively, that's probably about the best that the Nuggets can do. And if that is the case, we're gonna easily win this series. If I don't really see that many adjustments or that many changes from the Nuggets, because I know there's going to be some adjustments from the Lakers, you can clearly see that there was a discrepancy, I guess you could say, that there was definitely something missing in the team. In my opinion, it was definitely size. Once you got a chance to see that you needed maybe another wing player out there, whether if it was Lonnie Walker, whether if it was Rui Hachimura, who I think was a big difference in this game. He ended up playing some really big minutes where he himself was even able to guard Jokic, being how strong and how powerful he is. It was able to make it so then AD does not have to go ahead and mirror Jokic's minutes, or he doesn't have to find a way to guard him all the time. So if that's the case, if there is a way where they can go ahead and continue that and have success with it, I think they really found something with that. I think they'll be able to go ahead and cruise to a victory in the game number 2, and maybe for the series. Now again, maybe I'm talking a little too early on all that, but based on what I ended up seeing in the last game, the Lakers in a way are able to turn it off and turn it on with them. Now, not to go and say that the Nuggets, again, I don't want to take anything away from the Nuggets or anything like that. They're a great team. They shot the ball well. They played very well. They played defense very well. They did everything that they normally do. Now, it's going to be the chance, because I really don't think that the Suns, or who do they face in the first round? God, I don't even know who they faced in the first round. But whoever it was obviously didn't give them much of a hard time. When it comes down to it, if they didn't give him a hard time, or if they didn't make it, so then they had to adjust or they had to make changes, then we'll see how exactly they react. Because in my opinion, I think it's been where the Denver Nuggets are a one-trick pony. They have their best lineup, they have their best scheme, they have best everything, and that's what they roll out each and every day. And if the team can beat it, then they're kind of screwed. If the team can beat it and any of their other looks or any of their other schemes that they run are not working, then they're really screwed. But at least that's what I've noticed in the past, and that's maybe what I'm going to be noticing in this series as well. I'll have to definitely go and wait and see what happens, of course, but if it is a case and history does kind of repeat itself, and if I'm correct, because I haven't really seen, and again, there's maybe chances that they practiced this before in the past and they have different schemes, they have different looks, and then they'll surprise everybody, including myself, maybe. But it's one of those kind of things. I'll wait to see it kind of deal. If I see it, then I'll believe it. If I see the Nuggets have actually mastered another look, another scheme, another way, basically, just to go ahead and get the Lakers off from doing what they're doing, and because I really think that that's all that's going to be done over these next couple of days, over this next day, is Darvin Ham and the Lakers are going to hit the film room. They're going to go ahead and show how they can go ahead and beat this team, what adjustments they need to do, what players are going to be playing to go ahead and make those adjustments to go and give them the best shot to win this series. And I have a lot of confidence in them to go and do so. You had Anthony Davis ended up dropping 40 points compared to Jokic in that big man battle. Jokic did his thing, 30 plus points, had over 20 rebounds, I think, or something like that, and he ended up having over 10 assists with a triple double, of course. You can't really ask much more from Jokic or anything like that. You get to go in and see that at times Anthony Davis definitely did take it to him, even though AD did beat him in the points category and everything. Fell a little bit short on the other categories, but I think as far as what AD brings defensively, you can't compare it to what Jokic does at all. It's definitely a night and day difference when it comes down to it. It's like kind of yin and yang kind of deal, because Jokic provides so much difference, or so much of a big impact on the offensive side, but then you have AD vice versa. He provides such an impact on the defensive side, where it really changes kind of the way the whole team plays in a way for each one of those players. So you definitely can see, maybe if it is that we're going to be able to put Rui Hachimura on him, maybe that'll actually slow things down, where it involves other players having to go ahead and get the ball rolling, other players having to go ahead and create the offense. And if it is the case where we have like Jared Vanderbilt on Jamal Murray, or we can even have Dennis Schroeder, I think some people even caught it where you guys were able to notice that they were going underneath the screens the entire game, at least until the point where Dennis Schroeder maybe plead his case, where we need to go over these screens. You have to respect these guys, that they're actually jump shooters. They can make these shots. And maybe last night was just an outlier game, but I think Jamal Murray is a pretty damn good shooter, in my opinion. We already know what KCP can do. If he's left wide open, he's gonna most likely make that shot more often than not. He's a really good cutter, so you definitely have to go and keep an eye on him. There's definitely, in my opinion, some players on this team that you definitely don't want guarding other players. I mean, sometimes if we're going to be switching quite a bit, I really think that it would be a good idea. It's bad to say, and I mean, in my opinion, but D'Lo is maybe just not as good of an athlete or as good of a defender in order to really provide a lot of defensive help. I really think that he'll be more, if he has it going offensively, his shot is going, then he provides another element of the game. But if he's not really going, if he does not have it going on the defensive side, where he's able to stay on his man, or he's able to go ahead and at least provide some pressure towards the ball handler or towards whatever player he's guarding, to make it difficult in order for him to get the ball, just to kind of eliminate another player from there, from adding from the motion that they end up having with the ball, then that would be perfect. if he can at least do that, because otherwise I think it would be better off to have Dennis Schroeder, Austin Reeves. You can see that even though he gets beat at times, you can definitely see though that he does put in the effort, he does try, not to make it seem like that D'Lo doesn't. It's just sometimes, defense is hard. It's a lot of anticipation. It's a lot of studying your opponent's moves, making sure that you're at least adjusting right, or making sure that even the adjustments that you're making, that you have another backup plan. Like say you're actually taking some steps back and thinking that the defender is going to be driving towards the basketball. You start making some movements towards that. You have to have a way to recover quickly. See, he actually takes a couple steps back in that case, and he takes a 3-point shot. What are you going to do at that point? It's not like you're AD and have a huge wingspan where you can go ahead and take a huge leap and then still be able to contest the basket. So it is one of those things that you have to have players out there who are very smart defensively, who are not going to be able to get beat very easily. And at least if they are, they can at least try to funnel that player towards where the help is at, most likely where AD is at. Now, the other players, I kind of highly doubt that they'll play. I would like to see Max Christie, even though he's a rookie and everything, but I would like to go and see him play. I think he's a perfect kind of a guard to put on here. He's great at rebounding. He's great at just doing the little things and everything, and he's not the kind of a player that's going to go in and try to do too much because of how young of a guy he is. The only thing would be that is maybe if this is too big of a moment for him or something like that. But you got to even see him and Lonnie Walker were talking a little bit before the first game. Another guy that I could definitely see pick up the pace a little bit, especially if some of the minutes from other players are kind of going down a little bit. You can see that maybe Lonnie Walker might get more of a chance to score, fill up the score sheet a little bit. But we'll definitely have to wait and see. I don't know what else I can say about this game. The main thing here, guys, is there's gonna have to be some adjustments. I really think it's gonna be more of a thing where you can see Rui Hachimura on Jokic. You'll see them switch more often. You'll see this lineup that came out. I think it was Austin Reeves, Lonnie Walker, LeBron James, Rui Hachimura, and Anthony Davis, where they're pretty much able to switch all 5 positions. Maybe with the exception of Jokic or something like that, but for the most part, I did like that look. I am expecting to see more of that in game 2, but the Nuggets, especially with Jokic, they're too smart of a team in order to be playing the same way over and over again. And if you do that, you show them the same look over and over again, they'll eventually just carve it up. So you definitely just have to switch it up, keep them guessing, give them multiple different looks, throw different players at them, throw AD, throw LeBron at him every once in a while, just so it's not the same player over and over again. Because eventually Jokic will figure out and will dominate. But we'll see what happens in that game. I'll be most likely doing a whole post-game thing afterwards as well on Friday, so then that way we can talk then. But until then, I hope you guys have a great Wednesday. Hope you guys have a great day, great week, and everything as well. Hopefully we can come away with game number 2, so then that way we can head back home with at least with home court advantage, and being able to continue our dominance at home. But let me know what you guys think. If you guys think that the Lakers are still in line to go and win this one, or whether if you think I'm just blowing some smoke. But hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast again. Again, make sure you guys hit me up with any kind of DMs or with any kind of questions, any kind of questions or topics that you want to talk about. I'll be happy to go and talk to you guys. But until next time, peace.